Alrighty then, we are back. We're still waiting on uThermal, however, as it seems he is AFK'd, thinking that the third place match would take longer, of which I don't, judge him for, because that was a very, very quick best of three. Two cheeses, one lasted a bit longer than the other, but still two cheeses, and he probably gave it another 5 minutes, and that would still be probably like a safe estimate most of the time, but not with Lily Canine, I would say. Well, it depends on what type of Lily is coming out. The Turtle Terran or the Cheese Terran. Yeah. Goodbye to Lily and Damaga, who can now go in ladder or whatever they want to. They have now gotten their money, which can still be increased by you guys. That's actually doesn't
Yeah.
stop. This doesn't like press the finalize button until the tournament's actually done and the broadcast is over. So if you guys, really thought they deserved maybe a little bit more,
Well,
you're maybe really excited for this match, you can go there and donate.
so let's talk about this prize money too, by the way. This originally started with $125. We got Match Reno to match them slash double it to 250. All right, really sick, really cool. Then you guys today have doubled that to 500. You've quadrupled the prize pool of what this tournament was initially intended to be. And that's phenomenal to see. Girthing 3019, Hero Center, SC2 Fool, obviously, Hojo to Super Clown, all get big super shoutouts for the incredibly generous donations. And just thank you guys so much for helping us make this as big and badass as it possibly could be. It's worth noting at the current prize pool of $504-ish dollars, second place is worth 113. First place is going to be about $226. So that's a lot of money for a
Ooh.
best of three.
Yeah, that is
Both
quite a
players are
difference.
getting, even if you lose this finals, that's still a pretty nice paycheck.
Yeah, it is.
Actually, for context, that's more than we make on most casts ever. The only exceptions being when we have like 10,000 people tuning in.
Which has happened, last time that happened was probably for the Ting finals.
Should have just been pro players. What were we thinking getting in the commentary?
Yeah,
What
that
should
would
the preference
have,
been?
we would have been rolling in money now.
No, I'm really happy though, because you know what? It also, there is some truth to that, where you're kind of like, man, I wish we made more money, right? Like everyone kind of feels like that at some point. But I am really glad to know that we can help other people make money. I can't say, like, looking at the other channels that exist now and the other channels that existed even before us, I can't say there's a lot of chance you'd see an MLG doing something like this. You know, like that IEM would open up a Match Reno page or anything like that. So I'm really glad that we can help other people make money. And that's quite a bit. Again, quadrupling the initial prize pool today. When Snoop first came to me about this, he had no consideration for Match Reno. He wasn't thinking about trying to get sponsors at all. We got the sponsors. You guys helped make it even bigger and better. And that makes me feel really good. I get that warm, fuzzy feeling in my heart where even if everyone on Reddit wants to think I'm a dick and people think Rifkin's an asshole for whatever various reasons,
So,
at the end of the day, we brought more money to these players than they would have had. And that makes me perfectly fine. I can live with myself.
we're getting into game, but okay, I'm glad you brought it up, right? Because I don't actually think of you or us in this way, obviously. But what it kind of is to, like, I feel for a lot of, like, people that don't like us, but know that we do too much for the community, they can't really, like, super hate us. It's like when Captain Hook was like, what would the world be like without Captain Hook? And then he puts his hat on, and people are like, good point, Captain Hook. You're kind of a bad guy, but, the world would be a little less interesting without you.
There you go.
Yeah,
All right, well,
totally.
folks, we're here in the grand finals of this once-off cup. I do want to talk about the map and other things in a moment, but in the bottom left side of the map, it's going to be the blue Terran player. He won recently against this guy. It's uThermal.
In the top right, as the Red Zerg, he is Nerchio.
Of course, taking a small joke at how often these guys have been playing. It's actually been, it's like, we got a bad case of the Benjamin Buttons on this. The first time we saw them, best of 15. Next time we saw them, best of 5. Now we see a best of 3. Like, it's going backwards, man.
I was like, how would that ever be a Benjamin Button scenario?
Because, Nerchio is Brad Pitt, and he was born an old man. And
Man, that movie, I loved that movie. Like, at times, I could see what people would be like, it's too foo-foo, and it's reaching too hard, and stuff like that. Personally, I loved it. I read the book. Book is...
There's a book?
Yeah, it's based off a book.
Did not know that.
Actually
TIL.
by a pretty famous author. I can't remember which one right now, though. But, yeah, I don't think it was very good at all. Same thing happened with The Princess Bride, actually, where everyone loves that movie. You either get the humor or you don't, but at the very least it's like a fun little movie you can turn on the background. The book, I thought, was like so terrible. I'm so glad they changed, not everything, the plot, like, and still similar and stuff, but I'm so glad the movie was so much better.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, because we've seen them play so much recently, we kind of know a little bit of the ins and outs of what they're planning to do for the matchup. Nerchio is just absolutely phenomenal when it comes to using roaches and ravages for early game defense. In fact, almost too good with it because it cost him one of his games. uThermal completely destroying him on Dust Towers with just a hard counter build to it.
Yeah, to be honest, Nerchio is definitely getting tilted. Obviously, like, Nerchio is such, like, a interesting guy, shall we say, because I think online I'm kind of scared of him, just straight up, I'll say it. Offline, he seems like a very nice guy, and, you know, wouldn't mind go up to talk to him.
Pictures of him, like, with Harston at McDonald's, timidly eating chicken nuggets.
Exactly. Like, he's really not actually that scary, but online he can be, especially when he's in, like, you know, obviously he's just lost a couple of games and he's not feeling so great. You're like, please don't hate me. Comes into the next, you know, it's basically like a day later and he's like, you know, making jokes, right? So, no, he's, I definitely like him as a player, but also just as a personality. Like, if someone was going to be the next best foreigner, you know, we had Bunny, who was definitely a great guy. Anytime a Team Liquid player is the best foreigner, it's great to have such a nice person get, you know, what they deserve, kind of. But it's also nice to have that personality to it, you know, a little bit of the bad guy type of deal.
Yeah, I mean, Nerchio is a really good bad guy, let's be honest.
Yeah, he's not really an asshole, but he'll do a couple of things that people will be like, oh shit, like at the end of the last specify.
Yeah. Well, anyways, uThermal we know has a bit of a stigma in the matchup too. I mean, Nerchio, regardless of Roach Ravage or whatever he does for the mid game, if Nerchio gets to the late game, he's probably going to win this game. If Nerchio gets to chitinous plating, he's probably going to win this game. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that uThermal just seems to struggle in that one area. It's not to say he does anything incredibly right or wrong. Like, uThermal nails it when it comes to aggression a lot of the time. Ooh. But that's against, like, every other Zerg player. Nerchio's a whole nother can of worms.
Usually. He does take control of the Xel'Naga. Again, has been a very good contention point in this map. I'm going to guess that it was exactly Snoot's intention, too. Good Overlord position. I imagine that at some point, Terrans or Protoss are going to try and hide, like, important structures back here. That would be the day. But with Overlords here, it's actually a lot scarier to have them turn into Overlord drops. Doesn't see the medevac, pretty sure, just right out of range. But he should have, you know, Queens, they come over, Lings, pop. Actually, the Xel'Naga sees it, so he should definitely have defenses. That's such a weird turn that uThermal made. Like, obviously it was going to be scouted, he knows the Xel'Nagas are taken. But he's like, nope, I want to go to the third base.
Man, I'm actually astonished. People in chat saying, how do people not like you guys? I guess, in fairness, not everybody reads Reddit or Team Liquid. I get a really bad reputation because sometimes I gotta make hard decisions and sometimes I make bad decisions. But unfortunately, this is the internet. Nobody ever forgives on the internet. So, yeah, I have a fairly bad reputation, unfortunately, despite best intentions. But I was told a long time ago, the best way to deal with that is just, first off, ignore the haters, which is easy. I've been on the internet for like most of my life. Like, hello. But also, just keep producing content and fuck everybody else. And that's kind of what we've been doing. Like, I couldn't care less if you love or hate me. Just please come and join my tournament with a lot of good players in it.
Yeah.
You know? This has been the mentality for a while here in the channel, so don't feel too upset, guys. Don't be too surprised.
Oh crap, I missed that. I was waiting for it too, I just barely missed it. Yeah, so it did actually kill the one of mine. Oh, there you go. I was trying to see if this is going to do a lot of damage. It is so low, this is so dangerous, it accidentally moves forward, it's going to get sniped by the Spore Crawler, as you can see.
RIP. But that's okay, because this wasn't, I think, intended to really continue much more after the initial attack.
Okay, whatever.
Getting the Queen would have been nice. 5 drones, not too shabby. Of course, in the natural base, got some harassment. Never mind, the Liberator gets cleaned up, so not a problem over here. And Nerchio is on top of the defense. A little bit shaky at first, but got it on lockdown. And this is a guy that's really hard to crack. Once he's on Ravagers and Roaches, especially if you can combo them up with Infestors, Nerchio is an almost impossible player to touch, I feel.
Yeah, once he gets to like this certain army supply, he's so good at splitting them into individual bases and just getting the correct splits right off the bat. Still not quite sure what one of mine is. Finally gets it though. Spore Clock coming over as well. I thought uThermal was like pushing, and I was like, no, I don't know about that. It's such a small group, but no, he's just taking his third base in a very secure manner. I guess I didn't really notice this at first, but diagonal wall off because the other wall off potential is just way too long. A little interesting. In position pit on the way, and this is kind of like the start of the timer. The real timer is when the Ultra Skyrim is done, but this is... You already know the things are going to potentially snowball if you don't get some damage done. Good Ling, Scout actually runs by the double medevac drops, which is so common from uThermal. They should be expected anyway. I guess this is going to clear up creep. Unload? There we go.
Okay. It's like an awkward unload too. It's like unloading on top of the rocks and then just kind of sliding down the mountain. Like, whee! But whether he cleans up creep or not, looks like he just wants to go for an attack. And I don't know that I like this move, actually. And not only is there going to be roaches and ravagers, but there's the potential for infestors. We're hitting that timing. I think 7 to 8 minutes really is the danger zone for most Terran playing against Nerchio. Let's also not forget Hive's on the way. And, well, Nerchio may have been tilted a little bit yesterday when they played. uThermal's the one who's going to be, I think, a lot more easily put on tilt, especially with chitinous plating.
Yeah.
In fact, I would not even be surprised if we saw him leave the game upon realizing it was chitinous plating. This is where he was at mentally yesterday, and that's where he's kind of just mentally at in the matchup, I feel. I hope it doesn't happen, obviously, and I want him to scrap out to the last, but we all know that sometimes you just can't make it happen.
Here's where that Nerchio split is going to show itself. So an infestor with each group means that, you know, potential to kill the medevacs with Corsair Bile. Yeah, main is actually defended by just roaches right now, so the medevacs will live, but eventually once he gets that really key unit count, he'll be able to split and actually even kill these drops with a combo Corsair Bile Fungal. uThermal's got to look for something, though, whether it's creep spread cleaning up, you know, 2 drones every minute, like, it's got to be something, or Nerchio's just going to have way too big of a bank, way too easy of a time getting to those Ultralisks, and there it is now started already. uThermal, if he consolidated all of his army, would have a pretty damn good one, but he is still just looking for the potential, you know, 1 drop to rule them all, 1 drop that kills, like, 30 drones. That happened in Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah, drones and StarCraft units were there.
I thought so. I thought
there was a hatchery, and the creep spread is actually where the eggs came from for the Orkai.
Bless you.
That wasn't that crazy of a word.
I actually have no idea what you said. Orkai?
Isn't that what they're called? The Orkai or something weird like that? They weren't orcs. They're like the super orcs that they made.
I don't know.
Did you even watch Lord of the Rings, man?
I fell asleep.
Firefly moment?
I fell asleep from the original 3, basically.
Oh, god damn it. Stop it.
Each individual time I went to the movie theater, I fell asleep. There's the consolidated push. It has the tanks. There's all the medevacs. I noticed Rumor's on the way. And Chitinous Plating's on the way.
This is that bomb defusal timing, guys. uThermal's essentially got 40 seconds to win the game. Corsair Bile's hit those tanks, fungal growth on top of the army, but more Marines come in, and he might just be able to push this in and break it. Nerchio just barely doesn't have that front line defense. Ultralist pops, but gets focused down. uThermal now knows Chitinous Plating's not done, and he's got more time to fight with, but it's really not much time at all.
Oh god, the 3rd base going down. It could potentially be enough damage.
2 ultras only, no more in production.
Yeah, actually, then it's not enough damage. There's not already a good count.
Won't be a problem. There's no Chitinous Plating still, so he can focus them. Backs away from the Lings, gets really tight on time. He's got what is about 10 seconds left.
Oh, the Ultra goes down. The tanks are still alive for the most part. Finally, 1 goes down. Trying to hit the medevacs as well. There are so many medevacs, actually. These Marauders will not die.
Like, there's either a lot or a little. The medevacs are covering them all. It looks like it's going to be very little, but more Ultras on the way. Now they've got Chitinous Plating, but there's no fodder for them, so Nerchio's going to tap out, and uThermal GG will take game number 1.
Ooh, snap.
Chat, by the way, all going, I can't believe I bet on uThermal. Come on, guys. Don't give up too soon. Don't give up yet. Because this is the finals, though, guys, we're going to squeeze in a couple extra commercials, so we're going to play a small ad break before we get into game number 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Getting straight into game number 2 on the same map you've been watching for the last 12 games.
3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours. There you go. In the top right, once again, he is down 1. It's the Blue Zerg Nerchio.
That's a bit surprising to me too, because I gave him the definitive favorite going into this. His opponent up 1, and on the verge of winning the tournament, as this is only a best of 3 finals. It's gonna be the red Terran player uThermal.
Yeah, maybe uThermal has just figured something out about Nerchio. Or maybe Nerchio is just missing a couple of things. Or maybe it's the map.
Bets, by the way, I didn't actually look into this till just now. Final bets: 19,000 on uThermal, 11,000 on Nerchio. uThermal was actually the favorite coming into this, and that may just be based on recent results. Because I still would give Nerchio my favorite for this every single time, to be honest.
Maybe the Terran user, or Terran bias chatters.
It's like one guy in chat who's pulling a Fear Dragon and just betting all his Partoofs because of
I mean,
one.
I was thinking of Scarlet. Like, she wakes up specifically to bet 5,000 on Terran to say, I told you so.
Yeah, Partoof. Scarlet's like a rude Partoof better. She doesn't do it for the sake of winning or trying to get more Partoofs. She just does it as a kind of fuck you, like to balance.
Yeah, seriously. But no, serious. I was gonna make a joke about how maybe they're just more they're richer because Terran always wins. But then I was like, wait a minute. I'm Terran. I can't make that joke.
That's not humorous, Zombie Grove.
That's a real issue, Zombie Grub. You need to really take this seriously.
Yeah.
Nah. But I would really like to know, does Nerchio think that maybe just off today and was off, tilted last time? Or is it the map and how he didn't expect it to be such a quick follow-up? I mean, this is different than Dusk Towers. It's different than... Actually, I mean, I brought up Frozen Temple. It's actually... I want to say it looks kind of similar in rush distance. But the point is, maybe he just wasn't anticipating the attack that soon. Maybe he would have had everything consolidated. I don't know. Or uThermal really has just figured it out. Maybe he's studied the Korean Terrans and figured out why they're winning all the time.
Well, it's because the Zerg in Korea are terrible. I know that sounds really BM to say, but just like objectively speaking, it seems to be the case.
I've never been more torn about balance, honestly. There's been times where the foreign scene and the Korean scene differed very heavily, usually around the Terran. Foreigner Terrans were just not doing as hot, and you could be like, well, because X or Y, but I've never been so confused. I don't know who I'm going to be sympathetic for. The Zerg that swear they have trouble, or the Terran that swear that Ultras are too OP, and the poor Protoss who just gets ignored despite not having that great of a balance, record either. Who to feel sorry for? I just don't know.
Well, moving on from that topic. Reaper, of course, being a little annoying. I think one of the things we really need to kind of emphasize back in that last game was the timing of uThermal's attacks. Now, uThermal really is on the rise to be one of the better foreign Terrans, and again, like we've only recently started seeing better results out of him. But for the most part, like he's always had our conviction when it comes to things like knowing he's got good control and knowing that he knows what to do, just sometimes can't necessarily perform it. That timing he hit, though, reminds me a lot of what we saw out of Beyond initially. Before Beyond really hit his like super strides with Ghost, he was always trying to kill the Zerg like at that timing before Chitinous Plating was complete. And in a series yesterday and a series we watched so far today, that seems to be right where he's sitting. So you're on a good path if you're like imitating what Beyond was doing a couple months ago.
Yeah. I think this is the issue that I'm pretty sure people are complaining about when Terrans win in Korea. Is that the mid-game pushes, as always, are, the greatest strength, and we're actually maybe a little bit too strong with them, and that is where the argument usually lies. But once you kind of, I think, really figure out that timing, it can be very difficult for the Zerg, and maybe it's just uThermal has figured it out. Who knows? Nerchio, well, this is actually how he lost one of the games in the best of 5, after he lost the Liberator game. A Widowmine drop did more damage than it was really supposed to. This is the exact same drop he did last game. Like last game. It's the exact same drop he did on King Sejong in the best of 5. And wildly different results. This one actually gets out with a lot of health left over, all of the units, because Widowmine still is over here. The one before almost died, but still obviously did enough to warrant a win for uThermal eventually. And this one could maybe get a couple more drone kills here. No Spore Crawler means that the medevac can actually float around a bit more freely. Of course, one being made in case a Liberator follows up, but not one in the main base here. Grenade could go down. Okay, not gonna.
I mean, this is not entirely too different to the way we saw last game start off, but uThermal's not getting as much damage done. In fact, barely any. This Liberator gets a couple of kills, and that's nice, but, I mean, it's only one drone.
Mm-hmm. This Reaper will always complicate things a little bit with Ling surrounds, so Ramirez goes down. Queen might go down, especially if focus fire. Looks like the Liberator's gonna get a queen too. Could try and leave. Nah, I think it's too late. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Oh, barely gonna get out of there. So, I mean, this was somewhat decent damage done. Still, like last game, not a lot in the early game, but we'll see if we can follow up with something better.
Oh, he is following up in a I'm gonna attack you type of way. Last game he did have a third CC, and it was that timing right before plating, which is obviously still like 4 minutes away. Here he's gonna push with stim and combat shields, no upgrades, but he's going to be pushing much sooner. And you know, Nerchio, with how he has to just focus on defending here, Liberator's still doing damage. Damn. He might not even realize he's not scouting, or he might. Wow, that was exactly how the best of 5 went in the last 2 games he lost.
Yep. I don't really have a lot more to say than that. So congratulations to uThermal, who will be this week's champion of this Once-Off Cup. Now, we're going to try and do something a little bit extra special here, guys. We're going to see if we can get Snoot to come. Don't join in on this bullshit copy-paste spam. What the fuck? We're going to try and get Snoot on stream to give us some opinions. You know, again, this map was pretty much made by him and Avax, a combined effort. We'll see if we get Avax on maybe too, do a little bit of talking amongst the 4 of us and see how things shaped up for them and their opinions on how the tournament went. So thank you guys so much for watching. Do stick around for 2 more minutes. We got a little bit of bonus content coming, but congratulations once again to uThermal for winning